When my son Corbin was a freshman in high school, he was, as I said, extremely bright. And he was in AP Algebra, and he had been studying for a test. And he was a straight A student. He didn't even know what a B looked like, and it worried me a little bit. But he was in this particular algebra class, and on the syllabus it said you're not allowed to stick your notes under your desk, and he did. He stuck his notes under his desk, and he didn't even think about it. They got a third of the way through the test, and she saw his notes under his desk, and she said, "Corbin, I can't stand a cheater." And so she took his paper, and she took Corbin, and she put him in another room. She said, "Finish the test." And so he finished the test in another room. He did better on the second two-thirds of the test than he did on the first third of the test. He thought this was going to vindicate him, right? But the teacher, as he walked up, took her red pen and a giant 0 on the paper. Now, he had never seen a 0. He's very traumatized by the 0. Okay, how many of you know high-functioning Asperger's who would be very traumatized about the 0? This is so not fair. His world is coming to an end. This is wrong. Something needs to be done. I mean, laws need to be changed. The president needs to be called. I mean, something has gone wrong here. He comes tearing into the house, and he's like crying. Tears are just streaming down his face, and he's screaming, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "What do you mean, what am I gonna do? I didn't take the test. I didn't put my notes under the desk." He goes, "You've got to do something. This is wrong." I said, "Let me tell you about wrong. Cancer's wrong. People breaking into your house is wrong. People hurting other people, that's wrong. Now, putting your notes under your desk and getting a 0, I mean, that could be wrong too, but there's some big wrongs and there's some little wrongs, and maybe you're blowing this out of proportion." "I'm not blowing this out of proportion, because you don't understand. If I have a 0, I will get a B." And I said, "What happens if you get a B?" "He dies." I mean, seriously, it's like his life is going to be over. So he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm not going to do anything. She's your teacher." "Who does she think she is?" I said, "She thinks she's your teacher." And he goes, "How could she do this?" Because obviously she has a reason. She has some sort of a reason. I said, "Now, Corbin, this is what you need to know. I'm not going to do anything about this because this isn't my problem. But you're a very, very bright boy, and so you're going to be able to figure out what to do about this, right? But the next thing you need to know is that this is a story, because you're going to have children, and they are going to be 14, and they are going to come through the door, and they are going to be decomposed about something. And when they are decomposed about something, you got to have a story. When you were 14, you know, the bread bags, walking to school up the hill and down the hill, you know, uphill both ways, we all have to have a story. So I said, what story are you going to tell your children? Who are you going to say that you were out of this experience? So go up to your room, figure out your story, and come back and share it with me. And he was like, "I thought you loved me." And he went up to his room, he slammed the door. He comes down about 45 minutes later, and he says, "Okay, if I am in this world by myself, I have figured out my story." And I said, "What is it?" He says, "I'm going to tell my child that when I was 14 and my teacher, who was a complete unfair creep, gave me a 0 for not any reason, and I am not a cheater, that I stood up like a man, and I'm going to do everything that I can to pull that grade up and prove to that woman who I am and that I'm a man of integrity." Cool story, you know? So for all semester, he worked like a dog. He went in, what extra credit? He made up extra credit. How do I get bonus points? I mean, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I mean, he worked. He made straight A's on every other test, and it comes down. Now, keep in mind, I know that my son is taking this whole getting a B thing pretty seriously, and I'm thinking it's a little over the top. So I told him that I'm putting money into an account. It's called the Get Out of Perfection account. We're going to have a Get Out of Perfection, you know, it's going to be the like Nelson Mandela party, and it's going to be like he gets his first B, we're going to have a bash. We're going to have music and dancing, we're going to invite all the kids. And he's like, "What is wrong with you? I thought you were my mother who believed in me." He immediately calls his dad at work, says, "You can't believe what Mom said." "What did she say?" "She's gonna have a party if I have a B." His dad strokes. Oh my God, she said that, don't listen to her. So we're all prepared for this B. He goes in, he's got his grade calculated. It's a 89.5. So he comes walking through the door, and I said, well, how'd it go? He goes, 89.5. I said, well, how do you feel? He goes, I have to tell you just one thing. She may give me a B in algebra, but I give myself an A in life. Isn't that what we want our children to be learning? It's not about the grade, it's not about the algebra, it's about life. What story? He goes, I have a great story. I worked really hard. I know what to tell my 14-year-old. Well, the next day he went to school. She calls him into her office. I've got the party planned. And she says, Corbin, you are such a hard worker, and I so completely misjudged you. I'm rounding you up. And we didn't get to have the party. So it is not our circumstances. It is the story that we create around our circumstances. And so we're going to get to be great storytellers with our children.